Good morning, everybody, and welcome out to the Infusionsoft Mastermind Call. My name is Scott Richens. I'm the lead here on the customer training team at Infusionsoft, and I appreciate all of you being out here today for this edition of the Mastermind webinar. Susan knows the drill here. She's done my webinars with me, and she's already telling me that she can see and hear me here, which is the thing that I always like to start off with. Make sure we're all on the train here together before we start rolling out of the station. So, Susan, thank you so much again. If this is your first Mastermind webinar, I appreciate you being here with us. I welcome you to the call. The format of these webinars as we get going, the format is I've got a presentation that we'll be going through here for about 30 or 45 minutes on this particular topic here today, as we're talking about Yahoo and the recent changes that Yahoo has made and what you need to be aware of. So that's what we're going to be covering here today. As if you have questions as we go, this particular session, I really want to bring some clarity to this particular issue. I want to make sure that we're able to speak to any concerns that you guys might have on this and how it impacts your business. So that's what our focus is here today. As you have those questions, I invite you to engage with me to ask those questions through the questions box there in GoToWebinar. Typically there on the right-hand side of your screen, you're going to see a portion there that says questions. You can type those questions. Those come directly to me, and I will serve as the voice of the group, read those out to the group, and then speak to the questions. If you've ever been on a webinar where people unmute stuff, it just becomes mayhem. So we don't do that here, but you are able to chat those questions to me. I will read those out here to the group and speak to them. Now, sometimes I will be able to go through that during the session. Other times, it's a little bit more of a specific question, or it might be a rabbit hole I don't want to go down during the presentation. So I'll reserve that question and hang on to it till the end, where I'll go through it in a Q&A portion. We will have a Q&A portion here towards the end. I've got some time blocked out so that we can really cover that, speak to any questions that you might have, and go on from there. So again, that's the focus here for today. We'll go about 30 or 45 minutes of content on this one, and then we'll roll into some Q&A. So let me go ahead and flip on my screen here today to get us started. Number one, I want you to notice here what we're talking about today. It's how Yahoo's recent announcements affect you. If you're not familiar with what's going on over at Yahoo, you ought to be, and that's what I want to talk to you about here today as we go. Now, one thing, especially as this issue is continuing to develop, and we're working on some things here at Infusionsoft as well, I encourage you to go ahead and follow me on Twitter and follow our official company Infusionsoft blog and Facebook, as well, as we will continue to keep you posted of anything that you need to be aware of. If you want to connect with me on Twitter, you can do that. My Twitter handle is Scott Richens, Richins, and anything that I post related to the Mastermind webinars in particular, I do so using the hashtag ISMastermind. Additionally, I have hit record on this session, and as long as everything goes well, I will post it up and make it available afterwards, a little bit later here today, for you to download and review if you want to. I'm also going to put together a handout to go along with that download so that you can recreate what I'm teaching you here today. Now, a couple things by way of announcement that I want to make sure that you're aware of. If you have not heard of our Virtual Academy series, I highly recommend it to you, especially for brand new users. That's really who it's geared for. There's a free live webinar series that we offer. I run most of these, and I'm pulling in a team to help me out on those as we're rolling forward here. The Virtual Academy is where we teach really the basics of Infusionsoft. So if you've got a new user that needs to get oriented to Infusionsoft, send them over to the Virtual Academy. We've got 8 or 10 classes that we teach. We cycle those about once a month, and that's really where people can best get up to speed with Infusionsoft. You can find out more about that and register at help.infusionsoft.com. You may be a longtime user and you just haven't picked up some of the new features that we have, or maybe you're wanting to break into e-commerce now and set up your e-commerce site. Great, that's still a place for you. So feel free to check that one out, see which classes are available. Also, I want to make sure that you know about really our top training event that we have. It's Infusionsoft University. This thing sells out every time we do it, regardless of where we do it. We've got 3 different offerings going on right now. We've got Chandler, Arizona coming up in August. That's here at Infusionsoft headquarters. we are coming to Orlando, Florida in September, the 17th through the 20th, and we're coming down under to Sydney, Australia in October, the 14th through the 17th there. So I encourage you to check out that event. We offer 2 or 4 days of events, 2 days of basics, 2 days of advanced, and most people join us for all 4 days of the event. I'm bringing my A team with me as we come out to those events. I've got some of our top coaches and consultants and trainers that are coming out with us so that we can really get you up to speed with Infusionsoft, teach you a lot about how to use Infusionsoft, some strategy. We dive really deep into the campaign builder, and really I get a lot of great feedback from our customers on this event. So definitely check that one out if you're wanting to up your skills with Infusionsoft and the impact in your business when you're using Infusionsoft. And the last thing here is just a reminder, the topics that we cover here are typically crowdsourced. This one is kind of a grab bag for me. This is one that I've determined is really important for us to cover. So I didn't pull from this voting platform here today, but we'll get back to that one next week. Really what it is basically you guys can submit the topics that you want to learn about. So you can go to mastermindwebinars.uservoice.com and you're able to then vote for different topics. If you don't have any particular topics in mind, but you want to vote up some different ones, great. There's probably 40, 50 different topics on there right now that you can go vote up. And each Monday, I take a look at what's the top vote getter of the week, and then we prepare something for the mastermind webinar that week. So I invite you to do that. Again, that's mastermindwebinars.uservoice.com. And I also link out to this each week in the emails that I send to you where it says submit an idea. So again, shifting back around here to today's topic, the question becomes, how does Yahoo's recent announcement affect you? And how many of you know what's going on over at Yahoo? Give me a hand raise there on the attendee list or in the questions section. How many of you know what the recent announcements are that Yahoo has made? And actually, I can't see there. There we go. Now I can see what those are. Looks like only about 10 of you here have raised your hand on that one. Most people say didn't know, don't know, not a clue. Fantastic. In that case, this is where you want to be because we've got some stuff to go through. So what's going on over at Yahoo? Well, basically, Yahoo's been doing a lot of stuff here recently, and I want to start out and preface this. They're not doing anything bad. What they're doing is actually fantastic for them and for their users. I referenced it as an issue earlier. It's an issue for us as email marketers that we need to be aware of. So I want to preface that. Yahoo's doing some great stuff for their users and for their ecosystem, but there are some concerns that we need to make sure that we're addressing as email marketers. Basically, they put out a blog post, and I think I've got that up here on their Tumblr account, which I believe they recently acquired. They put out an announcement here that as of July 15th, what they're doing is they're reclaiming a lot of inactive email addresses. And they're defining inactive as those that haven't logged in over 12 months. Basically, they're saying, we're going in, and if you've never been able to get your name, if you wanted your name at yahoo.com as your email address, especially if you're doing anything professional, you don't want like surferboy86 at hotmail.com. That's not very professional. At least getting your name in there, if you don't have your own domain, at least getting your name within something is more memorable and better to use. So Yahoo is what they're doing is they've recognized they've got probably thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands or millions of email addresses out there that they have identified as inactive. People aren't using them. People aren't logging in using them. They're their Yahoo IDs. And that essentially just becomes for them missed opportunities. It's dead weight within their systems, and people can't get the usernames that they want. So what Yahoo is doing is they've made the decision to go through and free up those IDs. They're freeing up IDs that have been inactive for at least 12 months, and they're going to make these available to the public again. Now, there's actually a couple different things that's going on. So basically, they're taking these back. They're taking these emails back. And now they're going to Make them available for the public. I just repeated that. I want you to understand. So think through that one. What does that mean? If you have these people on your email list, what does that mean? It means that if you continue to send to those email addresses, you may be sending to somebody new that's never requested the information from you in the past. It's like when you move into a new house. You get a new house and you keep getting the mail that's sent to you from the person that lived there before. You didn't request that. Sometimes there's mail sending, forwarding services and all that kind of stuff, but you'll still get that mail from them. Okay, there's no forwarding services in this case. So you may have people that end up on your list by accident. They start receiving things from you that you continue to send that they never requested. That presents a very high potential for spam, for you being marked as spam, which is something that we definitely want to avoid. It's also like, it's more like a phone number. When you get a phone number that's been recycled that somebody else had, and you keep getting these phone calls that people that call you up and say, hey, Bob, how you doing? You're like, nah, this isn't Bob's phone number anymore. Okay, that's more what it's like, because there is no forwarding service to that. If they call that number, that's getting you now instead of the other person. So that's the same thing that's now going to be happening here with Yahoo emails. Additionally, they're going to take some of those IDs, some of those Yahoo IDs, and they'll actually be turning those into spam traps, which is something that they begin to monitor to see what senders continually send to those email addresses, even though nobody ever clicks through on them, nobody ever opens them, nobody ever engages with them. Basically, they start to monitor you to see what you're doing. Are you paying attention to your email recipients? Are you actually paying attention to understand who's engaging with you and who's not, and stopping your engagement with those that aren't engaging with you, stopping sending to those that aren't engaging with you? Now, the Yahoo announcement here has really just sparked, it's been a catalyst for a greater discussion of what's known as email list hygiene. I don't know if most of you know this. This is something I've learned recently from talking to our email systems team to really get my head wrapped around this particular topic. And they said that over at Yahoo and Gmail and Hotmail and many of these other email service providers, that they have within their terms and conditions that if you don't log in to your email address within a certain period of time, some of them is as short as 3 months, others are 6 months or a year. If you don't log in within that period of time, they can mark your email account as inactive, and they can reclaim it. So this is really something that we just always need to be aware of. This is something that can impact us on an ongoing basis. If you notice in the email announcement that I sent out to you guys, I asked you, how many of you can tell me how many people have clicked on an email from you, clicked on a link in an email from you in the last 90 days? How many of you can do that? How many of you can tell me who's opened an email in the last 90 days or 120 days? If you're not paying attention to that, then really, even beyond this Yahoo thing, you're at risk of falling into more or less some lazy email sending habits that can come back to bite you in the long run. We want to make sure that we're being proactive on these things. So the Yahoo announcement, and really that July 15th that they rolled that out, which was here this past Monday, that's been the catalyst for this conversation. But what I wanted to walk through with you all today is really diving into, how do you keep track of who's engaging with you and who's not? How do you be proactive? How do you make sure you don't get to the point where you have a list full of people that aren't engaging with you? And so I've got a series of steps. I've got a process that I want to walk you through here today and demonstrate with you to recommend how you do this. Really, what I'm going to be recommending here today is a quarterly process. It's something that I recommend that you do on a quarterly basis, to go through and keep your list clean. Now, I will also tell you this, I don't have any specifics on it, but this conversation has been something that we've been having here at Infusionsoft for a while, and really this has just been a larger catalyst. I know we're working on some ways to make this much easier in the future for you. Meanwhile, I want to make sure to equip you all with the information that you need to put into practice some email list hygiene practices right now, so that we don't have some adverse effects here from the Yahoo re-release of these emails. Now, one other thing to point out here is while they're reclaiming these emails here on July 15th, they're not making them available again until August 15th. And they've got some things, some processes that they say they're going through, and responses to unsubscribe from all the lists that are sending to people. Great, that's fine, but I'm not about to leave my email sending reputation on the line here with Yahoo. So let's go here. I want to dive into Infusionsoft, and I've got something here that I want to pull up. There we go. I want to dive into Infusionsoft and start walking you through some reports that we have to answer these questions that I have raised here as we've been going. And that first question is, well, how do we begin to identify the people that are engaging with us? Now, there's a report within Infusionsoft that is a really underutilized report that we should look at more often. And we're going to go to marketing reports. And within marketing reports, what we're able to do is search for people based on their email status. Okay, based on their email status. Now, what we can do is we can click through on this particular report, and I've gone through and I've modified this report. Typically, it will show you the email on here as well. I think it also includes a phone number, but in order to demonstrate this to you, I wanted to remove those email addresses and such. So what we're able to do within here is now do some pretty good searches. Let me click Start Over, and this now takes us to this this email search criteria. What we're able to do is pull a search based on people's email status. Okay, now this is very handy in and of itself. If you want to go through and see who's bounced or hard bounced or who's opted out or otherwise, you can pull those particular reports right here. For this case, when we're talking about list hygiene, what we want to do is we want to be looking at the 3 people that you can actually send things to. Those that are unconfirmed, those that are confirmed under the legacy confirmation mode, and those that have that are confirmed with the newer campaign builder mode. We do distinguish between the 2 of those, but essentially they function the same. So you can choose from all 3 of those. Okay, you can hold the control button and choose multiple options here. Now, notice we've got right here last open date, last click date. We're able to pull these reports based on who's opened in the last 120 days and who's clicked within the last 20 days. Now, I want to point out, if you're sending emails as plain text only, you can't track either of these. You can't track either of the open dates and the click dates because that's not tracked through the plain text emails. So I recommend to you that you send your emails as HTML emails. In the Virtual Academy, I have a session on creating email templates where I show you how to go in and create an email as a plain text looking email, but you can still get this type of reporting. Also, I just realized you may hear some voices in the background, and I do apologize for that. When I rolled in today, we've got some electricians working right outside my door on some air conditioning stuff. So I apologize if that's interrupting here at all. We've got the last open date here and the last click date. Now, here's what we want to do. We've got 2 different reports here that we need to pull. We don't want to pull a report like this. Okay, we want to look at today, and we want to look at months, the last 120 days. My recommendation is the last 120 days. Okay, that's what our email compliance team recommends that you do. Have a rolling 120 days that you begin looking at to see if people are engaging with you. Now, notice right here, what I like to do, I like to use some of our shortcuts that you can find here within your dates. If you click the I button in any date field, you can see these shortcuts. So T will set it to today, and then I'm going to go back 4 months. So I'm going to use the H button right here to subtract a month. Again, you can do that by clicking I for information. So I'll say T and go back 4 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that gives me approximately 120 days. Now, some of you will want to go in and do the same thing here on the clicks as well. I'm going to tell you that's not what you want to do. We need to pull 2 separate reports here, one based on everybody that opened and one based on everybody that clicked. We don't want to pull those together because it's everybody that opened and clicked, which is not the goal of what we're pulling. We want to pull everybody that's opened, or we want to identify everybody that's opened an email and everybody that's clicked on an email. So if I take this and I click search, now what that should give me is everybody within my list here that has opened an email in that last 120 days, opened an email that I have sent them. Now, what I'm going to recommend that you do is you apply a tag to all of these people. Okay, so we're going to say apply or remove a tag. As we apply or remove this tag, I'm going to create a new tag. And this tag that I'm going to create is, I'm going to create a new category here. I don't think I've got a category in here yet called hygiene or otherwise. So I'm going to create a new category here called hygiene. And what I like to do is put my dates first, because I'm going to pull a few of these things and I want to pull a grouping of all of this information. So I like to put my dates first so that things sort in a particular order. And so the way that I do that, again, this is a personal preference, but I would put the date in the tag. I would put this 2013, and then we were going back 4 months. So it was going to be in 04, and then today is the 19th, I believe. And I'd say 2013.07.19, and I will say opens. Now, what that's going to do for me is that's going to now give me this date range for which I'm identifying that these people have opened an email. I'm actually going to copy this right now as well. So I'm going to say create this tag. So now what that does is it gives me a tag right here that tells me and allows me to identify everybody that has opened an email here within this last 120 days. And I'm going to click save. So now I've created this tag. I have an action set here to apply it, and I'm simply going to say process action. And that will go through and it will apply that tag to all of those 5,318 people that I had that have opened an email that I've sent them in the last 120 days. So that's step one. That's now going to take, Vladimir's telling me today's the 18th. I'm already thinking ahead to Friday. So yeah, thank you, Vladimir. So we're able to go through, put that date range in there, and then we're all set. This is going through applying that tag. We're good to go on opens. Now we're going to go pull essentially the same report, but we're going to look at the clicks instead. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of time to run through. I can leave this page. I don't have to stay on this page to wait for it to complete. So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go to marketing reports, and I'm going to pull that same email status search. Don, that's the one you were looking for right here. It's under marketing reports, email status search. So now instead of pulling the people that opened, I want to pull the people that clicked. So let me click start over. I'm going to choose these same top three. And now I'm going to look at the click date. Okay. And I'm going to use my shortcut keys here. And we'll go back here to the last click date. And I will click search. I'm just realizing I think I might have clicked that 4 times last time and pulled a different time frame. So anyways, make sure you get your dates right. So let me go back there. There we go. So that way my time frames are the same. I'm realizing I didn't label the other one the same as this time frame. So I'll have to fix that. And I'll show you where you can modify your tags and such. So I'm going to click right here and click search. And now that's going to pull me my date range as well. And now I'm looking at all the people that have clicked on an email here that I've sent them within that same date range. Okay, so right here, now what I can do is I can go and click Actions. I'm going to do the same thing here, Actions, Apply and Remove a Tag. So just like that other one that I had created in here, I'm going to create a new tag, and I already created that category here now called Hygiene. So I don't have to type it again. I recommend, this is something I see people do all the time, is they then retype it. Don't do that. Just choose it now from the category because it's a category. And I'm going to go right within here. And obviously, I'll need to go in and modify my tags here because I'm all over the place on dates. So let me do this. There we go. And I'll go correct my tag here in a moment. So those are the same. I'll hit create this tag. So now I've got my tag there in place and ready to go. I click save and I click process actions once that's done. Okay. It looks like my system is probably thinking here as I've got it applying all these other tags as well. So it's taking a little bit of a moment to do this. And so once we're done with that, then I will click process action also. Oops. I left that as opens. I'm getting mixed up all over the place here. I do apologize. I forgot to title that as clicks instead. Okay, fun times with our tags here. I want to make sure I'm applying the appropriate tags. Create this tag. There we go. I'll go delete the one here as opens in a moment. We'll click save, and now I'll process the action. So now this is going to apply my clicks tag to this particular one. I'll say process action, and awesome. Gotta love live webinars here. So let me check this out real quick. Choose my tag again because that's already been created. Hygiene, clicks, save. I probably have a number of you following along as I'm doing this, and that could impact it. Okay, so now I've got a couple different things going through here that it is going to be applying those tags. Okay, and it looks like it did take that, even though it threw me an error message. I'm going to cancel one of these. There we go. That way I'm not putting an extra load on the system. So now what we've got set in place is we have the system going through, and it's applying those tags to help us identify who's opened and who's clicked. So I want to ask another question here. And that question is, what else do we need to consider? So we've talked about folks that have opened emails. We've talked about folks that have clicked on my emails. What else should I be considering here? Susan's saying new names, okay? So we may want to look at some new names. What about some sales as well? Opted out, great. Monique's recommending that we need to pay attention to those that opted out. Now, if we've had folks that have opted out, we've actually already filtered them out of this particular list because we're searching only for the people that we can send to. So if folks have opted out, they're already off my list. Okay. Meredith is saying bouncing. Again, we've filtered out the people that have bounced. So here's what I also want us to start looking at. What about people that have purchased from us? What about people that purchased from us but never opened any of the emails? That would be somebody that's engaged with us here within the last 120 days. Okay? Or somebody that has an active subscription with us that is continuing to purchase from us. These are people that we also should be aware of. Okay? So this is going through right now, and this is still applying those tags. It'll take a little bit of time to apply all those tags. So I'll let that one keep going. What I also want to look at is subscriptions and orders. Who's purchased from me in the last 120 days? So where we want to go for that is underneath e-commerce reports. Whether you sell manual orders or you sell online or order forms, what we can do is I like to just go to this one right here, all sales itemized report, and pull that particular report. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to look at my date. I'm going to pull that date range here for the last 120 days. I'm going to click search. So right within here, now what we can do is we can go through and we can apply a tag to all of these people that have made a purchase from us in the last 120 days. One thing that I do want to point out is if you have subscriptions, that are monthly subscriptions, that creates a new invoice every time. So that will automatically rope in any subscriptions that have been charged here within the last 120 days. If you do have a subscription that you only do once a year and you still want to keep those people on this particular list, then I would pull one additional report that just looks for that particular product or subscription rather for the past year so that you rope in the appropriate folks there as well. Okay. So what we can now do here is, because this pulls in both our subscriptions, recurring subscriptions and orders, we can just apply one tag here that now says create a new tag. Again, this is going to be my hygiene. I'm going to paste this in here. Now, if I can actually get this one correct this time, this is going to be my orders. I can create that tag, and now I can save the tag as well. And I can go in and process that actions. So now what it will do is it will go through and it will apply tags to those people as well. So now what we're doing is we're identifying each of these different groups by the way that they've engaged with us. They've gone through, they've opened emails with us. They've gone through, they've clicked through on links with us. They've gone through and they've purchased products from us. Those identified to me active individuals, active contacts, active email addresses that I can still reach out to. Okay. Now, what I can do is then reach out to them. I want to do one thing here first, and that is I want to go through, I want to clean up those tags. I made a couple goofs there on my tags. So that's going to be underneath CRM settings. I've got my tags options. So I click on that. I'm actually just going to filter down by that hygiene tag because I made a couple goofs there. I've got the orders one right here that I actually want to get rid of. Nobody's on that, so I'm going to delete that. That was my mistake one there. Okay, so then I have my others here. So let me get my dates right, just to make sure we're nice and clean. Usually I would write this information down on something right next to me as a quick reference. So save that one there, and then my clicks I put for Friday as well. My apologies. There we go. So now I've got a nice clean list. Now the reason I like to put my dates first and categorize them within this hygiene thing is, A, I don't have to remember the date range that I pulled next time. I can come and look and I've got both those dates right within here. So the next time I need to go pull this list, I'm not trying to guess, hey, when did I pull that report? What happened, right? So that's number one. That's why I use the date ranges there. Additionally, some people would choose to do clicks and opens, on that one. And let me see here. That was supposed to say orders. Okay, so what we're able to then do is, because it's sorted by date, what we can do is we can now look at everybody that doesn't have those tags. Everybody that doesn't have those tags. And they're easy to find because they're all grouped together based on that date. So here's the last step that we end up doing. We go right back here to that same report we started at, marketing reports, and we go to email status search and start over. So now what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to look at all of these three groups of people. Again, the ones that we can send to. We're not focusing on the ones that have bounced, and we're not focusing on the ones that have opted out or marked as spam. We're focusing on the ones that have already connected here, okay, that have active email addresses. And now, instead of using open dates or click dates, now we want to go to general, okay? or sorry, miscellaneous criteria. That's where our tags are at, okay? Miscellaneous criteria. And now we want to find everybody that has an email address that's confirmed or unconfirmed. So it's somebody that we can send to. But we want to identify the ones who have not engaged with us in the last 4 months, which means we can look at the tags and say, I want the folks that don't have any of the tags that I just created. So if I go here to my hygiene portion, the nice thing is all three of these are now right next to each other. And I can say, give me everybody that doesn't have one of these tags. And then I can click search. So this will now go through and look at my entire list and identifies all of the folks that have not engaged with me in the last 4 months. Opened, clicked, emails, or orders. And so now we've identified, now we've begun to isolate who those ones are that we need to be cautious with. We need to now approach in a different way. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, you know what you need to do? You need to go through and delete all of these. That's not what I'm going to say. Okay. If this is the first time you're doing it, I'm going to recommend that you be careful. As you do this on an ongoing basis, all you'll have is a rolling 4 months, the people that have fallen out of activity with you in the last 4 months. What I would do with these people is I would create a campaign. I would create a short campaign that now reaches out to them. So you can use the campaign builder. You can go put together a campaign that is my, let me add a campaign. I can do a re-engagement campaign. And with that re-engagement campaign, what you can do is put together a short email series that has a few different emails in it, okay? Now, you could do a couple different things within this. It's your choice of what you want to do, but there's a couple things that you need to do. You need to make sure that you tell them what information you're going to continue to provide. If you want them to opt back in, make sure you're setting the appropriate expectations as well. Hey, we've noticed you haven't engaged with us. It doesn't look like you've clicked through on any of our emails, or you haven't opened any of our emails here in the last number of months. And we just wanted to reconnect with you here and see if you still want to receive some stuff with us. We've got a lot of exciting things on the way. You know, we're putting out monthly stuff like this, or otherwise, whatever it is that you're choosing to include them on, and allow them to then make the choice. Hey, give them a option right there. If you do want to continue receiving stuff from us, great. Click here. Get them to take an action to tell you that they want to continue to receive information from you. If they want off, then you can give them an unsubscribe link. Okay, so if I were doing that, I would put together some sort of email within here, and I have no idea what my default here is. Okay, I would put together some sort of email that has some verbiage like I just described. Hey, we've noticed that that you haven't engaged with us in a while. And then I'd have the call to action. If you want to continue receiving our information, please click here to let us know. And then you can turn that into a link. You can turn that into a link that either takes them to a particular page, or it's just a thank you page that you can then go through and customize to say, hey, thanks for letting us know. We'll make sure to keep you on our list. We're looking forward to engaging with you in the future, right? You can put something simple together like that. Additionally, what I would do, I would say if you prefer to not receive information from us, right? You can just allow them to unsubscribe. And now what you can do is you can make this a link that allows them to directly unsubscribe or opt out. Okay, so you don't have to tell them, hey, go down to the bottom of the page and opt out. No, just give it to them right there as well. Give them an opt out right now so they can make that choice. Do you want to continue to receive information? If yes, click here. If you want to opt out, click here. Okay, so you can put together a short campaign, and because some folks haven't gone through and actually engaged with you, you may want to put together a couple emails here. Okay, 1 or 2 or 3. I wouldn't go much more than 3. You got to be really cautious. Okay, on this one. If they haven't engaged with you, then great. Be aware of that and give them a last opportunity here to engage. Okay, so let's say I give them three emails, 3 chances here to now engage with me. And maybe I set these a couple days apart. I'll just leave these at the 3 days apart options. Okay. What I would do on this last one is I would leave it at about a week or 2. Okay. And at the end of that, to make it so you don't have to now go figure out who's not responding still, I would make it easy for you to now identify who it is that after this re-engagement campaign still isn't engaging. Okay. If we're looking right here, this has been nearly a total of 2 weeks. They're still not engaging with us. They're still not identifying to us that they want to continue to receive our emails. What I would then do is I would have a process right here where I have it apply a tag for me that says, opt this person out. We want to opt this person out. Okay, because then all you have to do once in a while is go pull a search based on that tag. So let's say right here, I don't think I've got one created yet, so I'm gonna create one that says needs to be opted out. Okay, and I can now say create and save. Now all I need to do every once in a while is go pull a list based on everybody that needs to be opted out. Now, there's a couple things that I would recommend that you do if we are putting together these emails, and let me duplicate this email here. Again, if you're not familiar with the copy and paste option, we've got a copy and paste option, and it's great. What you can do is you can just click and then click the control button, drag, and drop. And so I just copied this particular email here. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. And this is for demonstration for you guys. I'm going to click, drag, and drop. What we want to make sure that we do is we definitely want to make sure if somebody is now engaging with us, we want to make sure that we are stopping the sequence so we're not automatically now applying that tag that says we need to opt this person out. So we would place a goal here that says, yes, they have indicated that they want to continue. So it will stop that re-engagement sequence. So we would go back to our emails and say, you know what, they clicked this one and said, yes, I want to continue, or in the second email or in the third email. So now that will stop the rest of the emails from going out. It will stop that needs to be opted out tag from being applied. And now we can just continue to follow up with them. Another thing that you may want to do, another strategy that I've seen people do, is they actually incentivize it. They incentivize with a free report or otherwise. You may have something that you can offer them. And so now what you can do is in this re-engagement campaign, you can incentivize that. Now, don't just go based on implied consent to continue receiving information from you. If you are making an offer, if you are incentivizing it, be sure to include some verbiage on that that specifies the expectations. Hey, we really want to keep you as a part of the community. We're putting out some great information to get you to stay here with us. We want to offer you this ebook or this report, this white paper that we put together specifically on something that targets your target audience. And when you sign back up for that, we'll make sure we keep you up to date with the most, if it's a newsletter that you want people to stay on board with, great. Tell them what they're getting in that newsletter, but make sure it's not implied permission, but that it's explicit permission, that you're letting them know that you are going to continue to send them some other information. So here's the point of what I just showed you. Again, remember, we have it applying this tag here at the very end that says needs to be opted out. Then what I would do is every couple months, I would come through here, or every couple weeks. Right after I do this, I'd wait a couple weeks and we know that this time frame is going to run through. Okay, we know that time frame is going to run through. So the first thing we have to do is we need to add people to that sequence. We're going to go right here again to that same report that we just had. We've got that email status search report where we can pull that list of people. This is the list that I just had. Everybody that's unconfirmed, or confirmed legacy, or confirmed, everybody that I can send emails to that has not done anything with me in the last 4 months as we set up. Now what I would do is I would not opt them out immediately. I would add them to that re-engagement campaign. We're going to add them to that re-engagement campaign. We're going to give it a last shot here for them to engage. If they don't want to engage with us still, then they're more dangerous to have on our list and continue to send to than it's worth. And we should stop sending to them. That just begins to hurt everybody's email reputation. So I would click right here and say, start that campaign sequence. Choose that particular sequence that we just created. So the one that I just set up was the re-engagement campaign. I didn't publish it, so it's not appearing right here, but I would choose that. And now that allows us to start that campaign manually for all of those people. That campaign's now going to run. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to come back and I'm going to pull a list. I'm going to pull I'll just go to my contact list and I'll say, you know what, give me everybody on my contact list that has that tag needs to be opted out. I would go categorize that within my hygiene list, my hygiene category as well. But I would take this list and search by everybody that has that needs to be opted out tag. Then what I would do is simply say actions, update, opt in, or opt out status. And we can now go through and mass opt out those people. That way they stay in your database if you want them to. If you want to delete them, great, go delete them. If all you're doing is online marketing, you may choose to delete those people if they're of no value to you and you're reaching the top of your limit within your contacts that you're allowed within Infusionsoft. You may choose to delete those people. I personally typically don't delete any records. I prefer to keep all the records there, but that may be your choice if it would save you some money down the road. So the important thing to do is opt them out. You opt them out, and that means that they would no longer receive any broadcast messages from you, any follow-up sequence messages from you. They would receive one-off emails that you send, but they would not receive any marketing messages, which is what we want to preclude them from. So that's really what I wanted to walk through here with you all today. I know I've got a lot of questions that have been coming through that I want to go through and speak to. So let me take a look at that. Also, I've invited one of our email compliance specialists in here. Sarah Connolly is here with us to answer any questions that might be above my head here so we can really answer anything that might be popping up here and make sure we're getting you the right information. So let me do a couple things. Number one, I know we typically have some folks drop off the poll or off the webinar about here. So what I like to do is get some feedback from you first off here. How would you rate the content on today's call? Have you found this to be helpful? Give us a 5 here if you learned a ton. You want us to do more stuff kind of like this, very prescriptive, guiding you on what to do, or all the way down to a 1, hey, Scott, this is a waste of my time. I prefer we don't do this in the future. So just let me know on that. I appreciate getting the feedback there. I'll leave that poll up here for about 10 seconds. And we'll close that down here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so I'll close that. I'm going to save that information here for me real quick. Perfect. And with that, let me go ahead and start taking a look at some of these questions. Yeah, I had the dates all mixed up there, Vladimir, so thank you for getting me straight. Susan asked, is the 90-day question the same as activity on Infusionsoft criteria? Susan, can you clarify that question there for me a little bit more? Are you talking about the recent activity portion within Infusionsoft? What are we thinking there? If you can clarify that for me, I would love to dig a little bit deeper into that. I'll circle back around here in a moment. Let's see. Dawn, did we get you cleared up on where that email status is, that email status search? What we've got is it's underneath marketing reports. And if you're not using this report, I highly recommend that you're checking out this report on a regular basis, just to understand who you've got that's opted out. This is where you can come check some of your spam complaints and such. So we can go right here with an email status search. I like to click start over here to just refresh what I've got. And then I can search based on all of these confirmed or unconfirmed. I like to look at ones that are invalid emails, because typically that means that I accidentally typed a web address in there, or I forgot a period in the .com part or something like that. So I like to come look at my invalid email addresses to see what's going on there. Any others that you recommend looking at, Sarah? Specifically, all of them. All of them. What would you recommend that they do if they're coming into this? What are some of the things that you would recommend folks do with this particular report to really get some actionable information out of it?
So absolutely. So if you scroll down here a bit and you look at the provided feedback and reported spam, there's a lot of interesting information in there, and it tells you why people are leaving your list. They're able to say maybe you email them too frequently, maybe they said they already opted out, and using that feedback, you can really do some list hygiene based on that criteria.
Awesome. So what ends up happening there, we've got that provide feedback and reported spam. Those are the two different ways that we can learn from your recipients whether or not you were identified as spam. Now, what happens, some people have asked, and I've got this feedback from folks, when you click on unsubscribe, when anybody on your list clicks on unsubscribe, they're taken to a page where they can unsubscribe. And then they're asked the question, do you want to report this as spam? It says yes or no. And I have people that ask me oftentimes, Scott, why is that there? I don't want people to mark it as spam. And here's my analogy that I've developed that really helps make this point. There's two ways that they can mark you as spam. One is in their inbox, in their email inbox. If they're on Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo or in Outlook or Apple Mail, whatever it is, they can click, this is junk, this is spam. And that's one way that they can identify. The other way is after they opt out. Here's the difference. It's like if you got kids, if you got teenagers and they're out doing something stupid in your neighborhood and the neighbors see it, they can either call the cops or they can come over and say, hey, your kid's doing something dumb. You may want to look into it. One has greater implications long term. When people click that spam button in their email service provider, it's like calling the cops. That now impacts your reputation. That now gives you a record that they now look at and they take into account. Whereas if they go to unsubscribe and then hit spam, you get the same feedback, but you get to deal with it. And it actually says, can you tell us why? And you get feedback from them on why it was spam. Man, this was more than I expected, or I thought I opted out before. I've seen things like that where we go and we analyze it, and it gives us a lot better data to know how to take action on those complaints. So like I said, it's like the neighbors coming over and say, hey, your kid's doing something dumb. You ought to go take care of it. Great, you take care of it before it becomes a bigger issue. So that's why that question gets popped up after the unsubscribe option. Is this spam? You know, if somebody thinks it's spam, we want to know that. You should want to know that so that you can then go through and understand why and pivot if necessary. Okay, so great question there on how that we can use that particular option there. Now, Lynn said, Lynn, did I clarify your question? Lynn, you asked a question quite a bit earlier here where you said, will these reports pull up anyone who has clicked and opted out? I clear out anyone who opts out. What I did show you there was how to look at anybody that is already on your list that you can send to. So we are automatically on this list filtering out people that have opted out. If you wanted to view everybody that's opted out, so what Lynn's saying is she just deletes folks that have opted out. Great. Come right here and you can say, give me everybody that's opted out or everybody that's provided me feedback here, and reported spam. I wouldn't delete them before I looked at that feedback. I don't want to lose that data. But if you want to delete them, then great. Take a quick search there, do a search. Then what you're able to do, let me pull a quick list here. Then what you're able to do is just delete them. I don't want to pull up the folks that have opted out here, but what you would be able to do is go right here and say delete contacts, and it will delete everybody on that list. So Lynn, if that's what you wanted to do there, is just delete everybody that's opted out. This is how you identify everybody in your list en masse that has opted out. And if you choose to delete them, then that's where you would do it. Some of you were catching my errors there when I was bungling up my title. So Drew, Susan, thanks for looking out there. Let's see. Monique, hopefully I clarified the question there on do you delete them? Frank was mentioning here, he said, open rates are unreliable. If I assume that people who don't show as open are not opening them, then I'm cheating myself. They may be following along but haven't acted. Frank, great question there, or great statement that you're really pulling out. So what Frank is speaking to is one thing that we'll tell you all the time is open rates are unreliable. The reason being, if you've ever opened an email in your inbox and it doesn't display the pictures, then that is not registered with us as an open. So on that, it's they did open it. They may have read your stuff, but we don't know about it. On the opposite side of that, we'll get false positives sometimes too. Most people have a reading pane if they're using Outlook. There's a reading pane. They'll scroll down through the pictures, and if they have their picture set to automatically load, they may have never stopped to really read your they may have never really stopped to read your email. However, it does register with us that they did read it. Sometimes if you get it on your phone, you may read the first part, you'll open it on your phone, but it doesn't download the entire message. Therefore, that pixel's never downloaded and it's never reported back either. So it's not an exact science with open rates. This is the case with all email service providers that I'm aware of, is because it is something that's under the end user control. I've got Sarah here shaking her head in agreement with that. So it's something that's not just an Infusionsoft thing, but it's not an exact science. So be aware of that. Frank's pointing out something great here. He may be cheating himself. Yes. What I would then ask as far as a question is while I am showing you how to track here with opens and how to track with clicks, what really is engagement and what are you really trying to get your users to do? I would encourage you that all of your emails should have some sort of a call to action in it, should have something to allow them to engage, even if it's a link out to an article. If you're doing newsletters, heck, I want to find out what people are interested in. I'm putting the first couple paragraphs in there of my newsletter. I'm posting that article on my blog, and I'm putting a read more link in there so I can track what is it that my audience is interested in and make sure I focus more on that. So, Frank, you bring up a great point. I appreciate you asking the question here so I can speak to that and make sure that we're very clear. You are absolutely correct that there will be some people that don't show up on that open list that we may not have show up on the final list that I've helped you create here of everybody that's engaged with you in the last 4 months. There may be some people that fall through the cracks. Yes, that is possible, and that is going to happen in some at some level. What I would encourage you to really make sure that you're doing is you're trying to engage people as well. Holy cow, we've got a ton of questions coming in here. This is great. Let's see. Meredith was asking if part of your product offer is a lifetime access, would it make more sense to be pulled based on tags assigned to customers for those products? Meredith, yeah. If you have a unique case where you have like a lifetime customer that has purchased something from you, I wouldn't look at this as a lifetime, like a free lifetime thing, but a lifetime customer. If they're not engaging with you, I would still be cautious with that one. Yeah, they paid you once and maybe they forgot about what it was. So that's a caution there. If you do choose to include them on your list of active people, then yes, you would just pull in on this particular search here where I said, you know what, I want to see everybody that is unconfirmed or confirmed, and I want to find everybody that doesn't have any of my, if I go to my hygiene tags, doesn't have any of these hygiene tags. You may also choose to include a product tag that identifies somebody as purchasing that lifetime product. Next question here. Susan said, so I understand if someone is a member but doesn't open their emails, they would still be included on the order segment. Yes. So what I'm trying to show you here is if somebody has come through and ordered from you, they've still engaged with you. They may not have opened your emails, but they've still engaged with you on that level. So that's why I showed you how to do your email status searches for opens and clicks, and also for that search, that all sales itemized report will pull up everybody within a time frame as well, and then you can tag them as having placed an order within that time frame. So yes, absolutely, Susan. Robert asked, how accurate is the people who clicked or the people who opened filter when we're using that? The people who clicked filter, that's accurate. We know who they are. We know that they clicked, and that comes through our servers before it redirects them anywhere else. So that one is extremely accurate. I would venture to say it's 100% accurate. Okay, we can always track those clicks because those always come through our service. As far as the people who opened, I did just speak about that one for a couple minutes, and obviously you asked this question before I spoke about it, but I did address that here a moment ago. Cheryl, I think, Cheryl, in this particular case that you're talking about, you're saying at what point do you manually unsubscribe these on an admin level? I did address that a little bit later on. And you're talking about Chad, some of the guidance that Chad gave you on that one. And yeah, that was probably a little bit more of a different situation. You probably had some bad lists there in the first place. Russell, thank you for the feedback. Let's see. Cheryl said here. Okay, gotcha. You were just giving me some more clarification on your earlier situation. So yes, definitely that was a unique situation there. Monique, can you clarify your question for me? You were asking me to show the continuing giving info link again. Let me know on that one what that particular question was in regards to. I'd be happy to show you. Dave, good to see you here. Holy cow, that's a long question. Dave, we may need to take this one offline. Let me check. Dave, you had a long question here. Are you talking about like specific emails in like campaign sequences and such? Is that something that you're curious about? Let me see if Dave's still here on the call with us. Yeah, Dave's there. Yeah, Dave, give me some clarity there on what particular emails that you're talking about. We may need to take that one offline as well. Monique clarified here. She said in the email campaign you were creating to re-engage. So Monique, you're asking how do we link them to how do we trigger that? So I think I've got your question right here. If not, again, let me know. But what I would do is I would pull everybody here that is unconfirmed, confirmed, legacy, or confirmed. And then I would also say everybody that doesn't have one of those tags that we just applied to indicate that they were recently active with us. Then when I search for that list of people, what I would then do is say right here under actions, we want to start or stop a campaign sequence, which means we can manually add them to that re-engagement sequence. When we say start or stop, we can start one of those campaigns that we may have created and then drop them in to that, to that campaign sequence to re-engage them. Monique, does that speak to your question? No, in the email that we were creating. Okay. So in the email itself, what we've got within there is basically you can put within there a link. And what I would do within that email, I would ask them to do one of two things. I would ask them to respond one way or the other. Okay. If they want off right now, great. Let them get off right now and put an unsubscribe up top. That unsubscribe link, basically you create your text, you highlight it, and then you click link. And you have the option to turn it into an opt-out link. By default, it would typically be a web address, but you can make it an opt-out link so you can put that anywhere on your page. Okay. Also, this other one here, click here to let us know. If you have a blog post or a page that you want to send them to, great, send them there. If you just want to confirm the fact that they're interested in continuing to receive information, then what you can do here is just make it a thank you page, and then you can click through right here to edit that thank you page to confirm their request. I would say, thanks so much. We've received your request. We'll make sure to add you to our, keep you on our future list and otherwise. But again, you're reconfirming the expectation that just got set. Does that help there, Monique? let me, okay, perfect. Let's see, what else we got? Russell said, will there be an instruction sheet made available after the webinar? Russell, the answer here is yes. This week, I've really been trying to pull together the best of the best options, had some changes this morning, and I want to make sure I get those into the PDF. I had one ready to go, but had a couple additional things that I want to add there. So Russell, what I will do is when I post this, and for everybody that's still here on the call, when I post this, it will be at help.infusionsoft.com/mastermind. Okay, if we go there, I will once I post the recording and the video here, it will be underneath Mastermind Archives. And what I do typically within there, if you click through, there will be a download original recording. There will also be a link right in there that says download additional resources. Also, I'll post out a direct link on my Twitter account if you want to just grab that there. If you're a Twitter person, you're on Twitter, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'll post that out here a little bit later. Regina, I think you're asking a similar question here that I already spoke to. If I haven't answered that question, basically the open versus read versus people that actually clicked. If I haven't already spoken to that well enough, just give me some clarity, clarifying question. I'd be happy to speak to it. Amber said, I almost feel like maybe the orders you give a longer time. Sometimes clients say they never received our emails for some reason, so we opt them out. There's more work to reactivate them later. If they reach out later, yes. I don't believe that it's actually more work to reactivate them. You do just have to pull up that particular individual, and you can do it on their contact record. So if I go pull up myself from within here, whoops, not to, I want Scott.Richens at. That should pull up one of my email addresses. Great. So if I click through on this one, what I am able to do is right here, manage email status. Yes, it does become a manual thing, but we can manage the email status. And if I needed to, if this person were opted out, I could manually opt them back in. And we just ask you to give us a reason. You know, hey, they called in, they want it back on our list. Great. You just log that information there. And then what that gives you is a status history. If you ever need to go back in and confirm what happened, you know, why was somebody on the list or off the list or otherwise, there's this status history right here where you can see that information. So that's how I would do that one there, Amber. Regina said, why wouldn't you have Infusionsoft automatically scan for those unengaged people and add them to the sequence? Regina, I love what you're thinking. I think we're working on some stuff to make that easier here in the future. If you don't use, and this is something I thought about getting into today but chose not to, one of the things that I've thought, if you are just an online, let me rewind, try my sentence over again. If you operate entirely online, you don't have sales reps that are doing any lead scoring or qualifying or otherwise, and perhaps at that point you're not using the lead scoring option that we have. If it were me, I would use our lead scoring option to go through and track this for me automatically. I would set up my lead scoring, what you can do within there, and this is getting a little bit down a rabbit hole, not reports, but settings. You can do your lead scores, and I would set up my lead scores to give them, like, one of the options that you have within here is not just tags. Sorry, let me add a new one here. You can say based on their activity, and you can have the system automatically look for them submitting a web form, opening an email, or clicking a link. I would set it up for an email open. I'd give them a point, and I'd set that to expire after 12 weeks. Okay, 120 days. That's probably more than that. That's probably 16 weeks or something. I would set that to automatically expire. So I'd give them a point for that. If they click through on an email, I would say activity right here contains an email click, a link click. I would give that 2 points, and I'd set it to be 12 or 16, whatever it is as well. So then what happens if they haven't opened an email, they haven't clicked on a link, they'll have 0 as far as their lead score. So Regina, then what you can do within your campaigns is when somebody reaches a certain lead score, you have it automatically kick off that re-engagement campaign. That becomes a goal for you. So great questions there. Let's see, Susan. Susan, I love how you title all your questions, so I know your commentary from your questions. I love it. Susan said, how is this process different from contacts, search, custom fields, last activity? Great question. Could be, as with most things in Infusionsoft, there are multiple ways to do it. So custom field, let's see, last activity. I may not have that particular field here, Susan. So let me know. Send me an email. I'll check into that one a little bit later, and we'll see what we got there. Pat, we, as far as your double opt-in emails there on GoDaddy stuff, I believe we've got something that should help you with the GoDaddy emails that rolled out this last week. Sarah's confirming here, all your double opt-in emails that are going out to GoDaddy go through our server that is getting through to GoDaddy on that one. So there should be some help on that one there for you, Pat. Okay, let's see. Robin says, did you say to run the 3 email campaign twice before update opt-out status? I wouldn't run it twice, Robin. I would just run one sequence. You may choose to do a couple more emails on that one. Again, to me, I wouldn't choose to do more than 3 myself, because this is a group of people on my list that I know already is not engaging with me. So I'm going to try and re-engage them. I'm going to put all I got into those 3 emails, and if they still don't open, click, engage, I would then choose to opt them out. Let's see. Ava, thanks for the feedback. Eric was asking here again about my campaigns on that one, the re-engagement campaign. Again, really important to have you include right there a goal at the end. So if people do click through on those links that say, yes, I want to keep receiving your stuff, you at least stop the sequence so they don't go through and get this tag. And in order to stop it, we have to put a goal afterwards. So you pull out any one of these goals, you make sure it's set as this type clicks a link. Okay, I like the indicate interest one. It looks like a guy raising a hand saying, hey, I want more. Okay, so I set this up to be a link click, and then I double click on it. And what we're able to do is go through on those emails and say, if you want to continue receiving the information, click here. Basically what we're doing is we're telling the system what links in these emails indicate the fact that somebody has done what we want. In this case, said, I want more. Sorry, had to just get a little bit of room here, or a little bit of cool air in this webinar room, heating up a little bit. Russell, thanks for the feedback. Spencer, good to have you back on. I'm glad your sound was good as well. I know you're having trouble yesterday, so I did also answer your question from yesterday, Spencer, towards the end, even though I knew you were gone. So you may go check out the recording. Mike, great recommendation. He said, I'd love a pre-built email in the marketplace for this in the future. Great idea on that one, Mark. I will pass that information along. I work closely with a guy who builds all the stuff there for our marketplace. Let's see. Connie, I'm sorry about that. You said you missed the webinar, miscalculated the time change. Yes, I will post the recording and make that available for you. Again, I will post that here at our mastermind site. You'll just click on Mastermind Archives, and I will have it posted and available for you there. Feel free to also follow me on Twitter if you want to notice. Also, I'm getting a Facebook group going. If any of you want to join my Facebook group here for the Mastermind webinars, I want to start doing some more highlighting what some of you all are doing. So you can go to Infusionsoft Mastermind. So facebook.com/Infusionsoft Mastermind. I'm going to start throwing out some surveys and some questions to folks looking for people that have done some of the things that I want to teach, and maybe start highlighting some of you and the successes that you've had. So if you're interested in that, go follow, go like that page. So when I post out those questions, you're aware of it. Hey, somebody's already doing that right now. Check it out. So there we go. Facebook.com/Infusionsoft Mastermind. I will start including that on emails in the future as well. So let's see here. Arthur, you recommended the Google changes in their inbox, the promotions tab. I just saw that come through on the recommendation of one of the topics to cover. Arthur, I don't know much about that one right now, so I can't speak to it. So let me do some checking, and perhaps I can address that in a future session. Let's see what else. Spencer asks, what's the best way to deal with contacts who have bounced emails? If it's a hard bounce, my understanding of a hard bounce, and I'm looking to Sarah for clarification here, my understanding of a hard bounce on that one is it's kind of like a return to sender. The email does not exist. It's not there. Versus a soft bounce is the email exists, the server knows that it's there, and for some reason it can't deliver it. Is that okay? Yeah. So it's like the mailman tries to deliver your letter. He's knocking on the door, but there's nobody there to answer it, to receive it for some reason. Whereas a hard bounce is there's no door to knock on. It doesn't exist. And we automatically opt out. So yeah, and Sarah's confirming here that for hard bounces, we automatically opt them out. Soft bounces, is there a number of times we try it before we opt it out? Is it? It's X amount of time or X amount of tries. Okay. 7, yeah. Okay, so it's a certain amount of time or tries that we go through with soft bounces. So there will be a point with soft bounces where we automatically opt them out. Let's see. Marcia, good to have you here. Okay, you were asking some clarity on opens. I think I already spoke to that. And it looks like at some point I was having some trouble there with you guys hearing me, so I apologize for that being the case. Oksana is asking, if a contact status is opted out, but he fills out a form again somewhere on the site, would that contact become someone who is opted in again? And the answer on that is yes. At that point, they have re-opted in. So you're all set with that. Lynn is curious, is it possible to take this list and export it into an Excel spreadsheet? And you've got a POS system, something that you can do there with your POS system. One of the things that you can do is, with any of those, let me get out of this, with any of those reports that you have, so for example, the email status report here, if we take any list, we can go right here and click export, and you can choose what you export, Lynn. So yes, it is possible to export that. It will export it as a CSV file. Not exactly an Excel spreadsheet, but it's a CSV file that you can open in Excel. Likely your CSV file or your POS system will want a CSV file as well. So that's probably what you want. Susan, problem. People don't know what spam is. Yeah, there is some end user education that we can always work on there as well. Some people click spam thinking it is just a delete button, which is not what it is. And so that's one thing that it can impact us. However, if we're setting proper expectations, typically that's not something that impacts us in a way that we've seen really cause adverse impact for customers. It's usually more around not following best practices, which is where we get some trouble with that. Craig's asking, can you read their feedback, Craig? Yes, you can. You can do that. Again, I was showing you on those contact records. Let me pull up mine here again. Scott.Richens at. When you're in on a contact record, you can click this Manage Email Status option, and you can view the status history. If somebody has provided you any feedback, it's right here within the notes portion. So you could pull that list of the email status, search everybody that's reported feedback or reported spam, provided feedback. You can click through on them and view their information there. So Mike, looks like he had the same question there. Ramona, good. Look forward to seeing you in Orlando at Infusionsoft University. And yes, absolutely, I will be there teaching that. Wouldn't miss it. It's like my favorite event. Let's see. Robin asked again, could you briefly explain the Yahoo thing? You weren't clear on the problem or what they're doing. They're reactivating reactivating old emails or deleting them. Basically, Robin, what they're doing is they're taking, just to recap what we covered in the beginning, they're taking the inactive emails, ones that people haven't logged into for over a year, and they're reclaiming them. So they're basically taking them away from the people that had it because they're not using it, and then they will make it re-available. So they're reactivating the old ones, meaning they will allow people to now go back in and sign up for those emails, those email addresses, those Yahoo IDs that had been marked as inactive and that they've reclaimed. So potential on that one is, like I said, it's kind of like you getting a recycled phone number. You start getting all the phone calls from people asking for whoever the person was that owned the phone before. It gets really annoying to you. And well, if that's email, you might mark it as spam. So we want to make sure that we don't keep sending to those folks. You have anything to add to that one, Sarah? Anything? Okay, great. Alexander, yes, absolutely. I will be posting up the recording as long as everything goes properly on GoToWebinar. So usually does 95% of the time. Let's see. Nate, great question. Nate said, for specifically users that have products instead of clicks or opens, how can I be sure that the Yahoo users who have outdated emails but have orders through us, they won't receive invoices, etc., that would be sensitive info? With those Yahoo addresses, again, typically if people are placing orders, they're not putting in a fake email address. Typically. They're not putting that into their junk email. That's been my experience on things, Nate. Great question on that one. What you may choose to do, and I'm making this one up on the fly. You're bringing up a great point, but what you may choose to do is go through, Nate, and send an email out to people that have Yahoo addresses right now. So what you may choose to do is go through and do a search. You can say at yahoo.com. Well, actually, I would do at Yahoo and then an asterisk. So you can do an asterisk at Yahoo asterisk. The reason I say that is the asterisk up front is a wild card. It will pull anybody's name that has an at Yahoo. And then the reason we put it at the end is Yahoo's doing this worldwide. It's not just their .com domains, it's any of their other domains as well. So we're saying anybody that has an at Yahoo in their email address, search for them. You could pull that search and send a broadcast to those people. Say, hey, we know some stuff's going on with Yahoo. We want to make sure that we are protecting your information. If you are actively using this, go ahead and click through on it. So, Nate, that's one thing that you could do. You could be proactive. Heck, that's something that could then provide some confidence within your users as well, the fact that you're looking out for them. So that's an option that you may use. You may choose to start a sequence with them, send 2 or 3 emails as well. But then the question becomes, what are you willing to do with people that don't respond? If people don't respond, are you willing to stop sending to them if that's what you're saying you're going to do? So think that one through there, Nate. But that may be something that you want to do. Hey, we want to confirm that you're an active email address. Anybody that doesn't confirm here, and at that point, I might send 4, 5, or 6 emails, but I would try and do that here in the next month. I would try and do that before August 15th because that's when Yahoo's re-releasing some things. So Nate, great question. Reading some different things here at the same time. Jennifer, you're asking, what was that? Was it yahoo.com? Let me just paste this here in the chat section so that everybody has that. Entire audience. This is the search that you can do for everybody that has a Yahoo email address. That should have just come through on the chat section to say at Yahoo. Let me confirm that. Somebody just said that didn't work for them. Yeah, that should work. So maybe, Jerry, you just don't have any Yahoo people in your system. Let's see. Frank said, if the person replies to an email rather than clicks on a link, how can we track with those reports? Frank, that's going to be a little bit different. Those replies aren't something that are then tracked. That's outside of the Infusionsoft environment. And so what you could do if you wanted to, Frank, what kind of platform do you use? What email platform do you use? If you're still with us, may not be. What you could do is I would look at use Gmail. Frank, I would download our Infusionsoft Sync for Gmail plugin. What you could do, Frank, if that was something really important to you, I would just set up a note template within Infusionsoft that reapplies a tag that says, hey, they engaged with me. Okay, so I would set up a short campaign where there's a note template that applies a tag that 4 months later removes it, and that way you can just keep recycling that tag and include that on your search. So something to consider there, Frank, if that's really something that you need to solve for. Let's see. Monique asked, you said every email has to have a call to action. Does the link have to be trackable in order for that to show up on the report? By default, Monique, any email that you send out from our system through a broadcast or a follow-up sequence, if it's an HTML email, it's turned into a trackable link, unless on the broadcast for some reason you click that button that says don't track the link clicks, which we pre-check for you. So Monique, there's nothing extra that you have to do. You don't have to make it apply a tag. You don't have to make it do anything fancy. If you are putting a link in a broadcast or in a follow-up sequence email, then what's going to happen is Infusionsoft will track that link. Robin asked, with regard to lifetime members, Customer Hub free members may still be accessing their membership but not opening emails. How would you determine this? Robin, there are other things that you can do within Customer Hub using action sets. So if they're clicking on things within Customer Hub, you could have that also track within Infusionsoft. By applying some additional tags, kind of like what I was just describing there for Robert. You could set up actions on each of those links that they click within Customer Hub. There are some third-party solutions that will allow you to track if they're watching videos or not. And so those are some things that you may choose to implement if that's really important for you. Let's see. Marcia, great question here. She was talking about the unopened issue. So she's wondering about Yahoo specifically. Would it be advisable to send a re-engagement email to the @Yahoo emails that haven't had hygiene tags applied to them? Yeah, you may want to do that. That's kind of like what we were just talking about a moment ago with one of the other questions that came up. You may choose to just be proactive on that. Reach out to your Yahoo folks and say, hey, we recognize there's some changes going on. We want to make sure that you still control this email address. So good question there. Brooke, great question. Actually just had a conversation this morning with our VP of product management on report stuff. So I'd be happy to go into some more reporting sessions, within the mastermind. Feel free to submit that there at mastermindwebinars.uservoice.com. I've got a link to that in the email that I sent you yesterday. And I would recommend be specific on some of those types of reports. What is it that you're looking for? Give me some recommendations there so I can focus things. Still going through some questions. I'm catching up to questions from 25 minutes ago. There were a bunch today. So if you asked one in the last couple minutes, know that I'm still marching through here. Let's see. Frank, as far as open rates, you're asking here, how can we reasonably rely on them? Frank, where I usually use, excuse me, I had to cough there. Where I typically will use open rates is really for trending reports. I really, except in this case of removing people from your list, if I'm looking at open rate information, I'm looking at trends. I'm not typically looking at one-offs. I'm not looking at an individual by individual basis. I'm looking for trends up or trends down within, for example, my broadcast. So if I'm sending out a broadcast, I notice I'm trending up on my opens, great. That's how I use that information. My clicks, I'm looking at as specifics though. Jerry asking for clarification. Yahoo plans to release the inactive accounts unless the current owner logs in before July 15th. Has this already happened? I think so. They set July 15th as the date that they would reclaim those, and then they were going to hang on to them for a month before they re-released them. So if you've got a Yahoo account that you haven't accessed in a while, you may want to go try and access it. I heard about this a week or two ago, so I just quick logged in, and my stuff was still there. So you may want to try that. Maybe they're given a grace period here, but I don't know. Cassandra said, what are the ramifications of having all these Yahoo people report us as spam from an Infusionsoft standpoint? Sarah, are you prepared to talk about that one? I mean, I've got some thoughts on it.
Go ahead, I can supplement that.
Really, so there's a couple things here, Cassandra. You're going to start hearing from us very quickly. That's why I pulled this webinar today. I didn't go from our normal crowdsourced topic, but I chose to insert this one here because it's very important. We will be working on a education effort with all of our customers to get this information out to you very quickly. I anticipate this webinar will be something that folks are referred to as well as far as how to manage this list hygiene. We are working on some things on our side to help mitigate risks on this. I don't know the details on those, but we're working on some things as well so that we can help be aware of what these email addresses are. What it comes down to, though, is once that August 15th date rolls around and they start then re-releasing these, or having turned some of these email addresses into what are called spam traps or honeypots, or there's a number of different words for it. Basically, they're emails that they know have been inactive, and yet you continue to send to them. That then reflects poorly upon you as a sender. It's coming from your email address, and it's coming from our servers. So there will continue to be impact on that. That's why I'm stressing this so heavily is, hey, you know what? List hygiene is an important thing. This is something that we need to be doing all the time anyways, because this can be the case. It's not like this Yahoo thing has suddenly created something new that never existed before. This is something that has continually been the case, but many times we just haven't emphasized it as much as we should. So the Yahoo thing is the catalyst. Their shift here has been the catalyst for us to have this conversation, but it's a conversation that everyone who's engaging in email marketing needs to be a part of and needs to be following as far as these email best practices. Sarah, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what it does is when our deliverability is impacted, it affects all of our customers, and that's really what we want to prevent. And it only affects Infusionsoft. It affects your reputation, our reputation. So really, what we're trying to do is speak about it, get information out about it, and make sure that your email campaigns stay clean and successful with Infusionsoft.
Okay, awesome. So Cassandra, does that help speak to your question there? If you need some clarification. Okay, yes, awesome. Perfect. Let's see. Pat, thank you for the feedback on that one. I will check that out and see what's going on. So I saw something about that yesterday as well. Somebody else had an issue on that, so I'll follow up on that one. Let's see. Regina is asking, can we find out how your listener got a last activity field? I think that was Susan. Susan, are you on Twitter? If so, can you throw up a screenshot or something of your last activity field there and just tag it with the hashtag ISMastermind? I had somebody else here asking about how you got that last activity field. Heck, I'm curious as well. I didn't see it there quickly on that page. So if you do Twitter, if you could just throw something out there with hashtag ISMastermind, and then we can check that one out and learn from it. Sven and Raphael, yes, I will have this posted. I will make it available. It'll be probably a couple hours or later today before I have it posted to be rewatched. So just check out help.infusionsoft.com/mastermind, and we've got archives listed there. Additionally, I will post out a link to it on Twitter if you want to follow me on Twitter. Let's see. What else do we have? Dawn, I don't have this video archived yet, but it will be there later. Lynn, awesome. Glad you found it. Another Lynn here. You may choose to do that. So Lynn's asking here, Lynn M is asking, would you recommend doing a campaign that searches for all yahoo.com email addresses and asks them to reconfirm that they want to stay on our list? That's not what we're recommending. If you choose to do that, yes, you absolutely could, and that would be a very cautious way of approaching it. What I always recommend is, great, if you're going to do some sort of campaign like that and you're telling people, look, if you don't reconfirm, we're going to take you off our list, make sure that you follow through on that. If you're telling people you're going to do something, do it. So just think through on that. If people don't confirm, and a large number of people don't confirm, are you willing to deal with that? So what I'm recommending to you right here is a way, look, if somebody's email is going to be reclaimed by Yahoo, that means they haven't logged into it in a year, which means they haven't opened and they haven't clicked. So what I've shown you here today is a way to help you mitigate some of that and go through and really just focus on the folks that haven't engaged with you. And so instead of just pulling everybody that's yahoo.com, heck, you may have people that have been clicking through and engaging with you every day. Let's not even deal with them. We know they're active, so we don't just have to reach out to everybody that's yahoo.com. You may choose to, but I don't think that's what you need to do. Let's look at engagement. That's really what we want to focus on here. Let's see. Regina said, don't forget Ymail when you're doing that search as well. So I hadn't seen Ymail pop up anywhere, but Sarah, have you heard about Ymail?
Yep. Ymail is also owned.
It is included.
Rocket Mail.
Okay. Ymail and Rocket Mail are a couple others. So here's the thing. Really remember, as I've said here a number of times during this call, the Yahoo, the change they're making is the catalyst for this conversation, but this conversation extends well beyond just Yahoo and their particular domains. So it sounds like it's including Yahoo anything, it's Ymail, it's Rocket Mail. There's a number of different things that domains that Yahoo uses for their mail. What we're encouraging is that this is a great time for you to begin practicing, if you haven't been, some good email list hygiene practices, and do these every 3 to 4 months. Follow through on this every 3 to 4 months. Repeat these same steps so that you're able to then keep a clean list, regardless of if it's Yahoo, Gmail, Hotmail, MSN, AOL, all of those. Keep a clean email list. So good question there, Regina. Thanks for bringing that one up. Regina, that's a specific one. She's saying she sometimes gets hard bounces from .gov email addresses that she knows are valid. I'm not really sure on that. We may need to follow up on that one later. That sounds like a pretty specific situation there, Regina. So let me know. Give me some more details or some examples on that one. I'll see what I can find out. Ooh, okay. Frank, I'm sorry to hear that the Gmail sync doesn't work. Feel free to reach out to our technical support team if you haven't, to try and get some help on that one. Oh no, Jerry! It sounds like Jerry lost her email address. So Jerry, look out for August 15th and try and get it back. Lynn said, Scott, do you anticipate that the other free email platforms will do the same thing in the future? Hotmail, Gmail, etc. Honestly, is it possible? Yes, but I can almost guarantee you that every single one of them is watching how this goes down. To my knowledge, nobody of this size has done this type of house cleaning before. And so there, you can go online and you can see articles. I saw an article from Inc. or Forbes that said like Yahoo's huge mistake. And they talk about a number of reasons why this is a really bad idea. And they made some good points about it. Yahoo says they're addressing those. Everybody's going to see how well Yahoo has done at executing on this. And who knows, maybe they'll do that in the future. Stuff like password resets. And if you've got memberships somewhere and people start getting those, there's identity risks and security risks here that Yahoo says they have ways to address. So we'll see how that one goes. So everybody's probably holding their breath and watching to see what happens here. Russell said Susan posted the screenshot on Twitter just now. So Susan, awesome, thank you. We should be able to check out that is twitter.com/search and see if we've got an IS mastermind here. And Susan posted. Susan, thank you very much. Last activity. Okay, date added in last activity. I will have to go check that one out and see where I can find that particular one. So I'll follow up on that one. You know what? One of the beauties of my job is some people think I know everything, but it's usually just that I've had more questions than you have, and I learn something new like this all the time. So Susan, thanks for pointing that one out. I'll check that out and see what that one does. That's a great point. Maybe another way to pull this report. So I think that's about all we've got here for today. I appreciate y'all being so attentive here. We still have quite a few you here on the call with us, even going extra innings on this one. So definitely a big thank you to everybody who's participated on this call. Thank you for all of the questions so that we can make sure we're getting the proper information about this particular topic, and that we are getting that we're getting the visibility into this. One of the things that I would recommend that you do, if you can help us out here, let's get this information out there. So I will post this. I will make it available as soon as I can here today. If you're following me on Twitter, do me a favor, get us a retweet out there. I'll post it up on Facebook, share it on Facebook. Let's just make sure that the knowledge gets out there. Like Susan mentioned earlier about educating end users on spam and knowing what's spam and what's not, what the implication is there. Let's do the same thing here. Let's make sure that we're getting this information out as far and wide as we can so that people are aware of it. And with the webinar like this, we know how to deal with it. So if you can help us out with that, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps everybody. So thank you very much again for being here today. Thanks for joining us for the Mastermind webinars. As always, it's been a pleasure. I invite you to continue to submit topics. I've got a link there within the email that I sent you yesterday. So continue to submit your topics, and I'll look forward to bringing you guys some more great information in the coming weeks. Thanks so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on a future Mastermind webinar.